Great. Welcome, everyone, to the Ashland Select Board meeting for January 17th, 2024. Call this meeting to order. We have a number of events tonight, but first I'll do a quick, is there anyone here for citizens participation? See anyone I see? So Mark DeSoni has raised his hand. Is there anyone who wants to come to the lectern for citizens participation? Okay, go ahead, Mark. I think you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Hope everybody got there safe and healthy.
More volume, Mikey.
I would like to thank the town itself for
Mark, hold on 1 second. We need more
Okay.
volume in the room. Mackie, can you give us more volume?
Yep.
Please, thank you. Okay, try again, Mark. Thank you.
testing 1 2 3 1 2 3. All set?
Yep.
Okay, Mark 20, 49 Hawthorne Road, Ashland, Mass. I'm thanking the town for clearing out from this latest snowstorm. It did a good job on L Street, Hawthorne Road, and all throughout. And so seeing everything is good and everything. Happy New Year, by the way. But you guys were on, I think, the first year, but I wasn't here. And is the town is ready for the town elections? Is this town set up for that?
Uh-oh.
What happened? Yeah.
Yikes.
It was working before we're getting a cord on the laptops off today. 1 second.
Oh, something appeared.
Back.
Hey, the Zoom call isn't coming up on as an option on the splitter deck. The Zoom isn't coming up on that's one of the options back here. Yeah.
Fun with technology.
I apologize.
It's okay.
New issue.
Keeps us all fresh. New issues.
New year, new issues.
Yeah, that's good. You mean with Lois this time?
Yeah.
What do you guys, is it okay with this, with the board if we move ahead with the presentation for Lois since?
Me,
all right.
I'm done.
Oh, how come we can hear him
We got him
again?
back now.
Oh, there we go.
Go ahead,
Mark. We can
Go
hear-
ahead, Mark. Okay.
There you go. We got you back.
I thought maybe I got lost in the along the backseat board over Rice Plain there. I'd like to thank the town for plowing out the streets and doing a good job. And I was just wondering, is this town ready for the state elections with the vote? And is it all prepped up and ready to go? I was just wondering.
well, I think I can, my understanding, Mark, is that we're geared up and ready to go with all the election preparation for the coming year.
And that question came up from last night's state Democrat committee that we had last night, that the virtual Zoom connections, if they want me to help out, because I can be around for that here, and if they need any assistance and stuff like that, I'll be willing to help.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Okay, that's it for now.
All right, thanks, Mark. Okay, so I'm going to proceed to the next item on our agenda, which is to honor Lois McAuliffe on her retirement from the public library. So with that, I'll turn it over to our town manager to...
Yes, so, yes, it is a bittersweet night as we celebrate / bemoan Lois's upcoming retirement. Lois has been a children's librarian since 1977 and has worked at the Ashland Public Library as the children's librarian for 23 years, if I remember, since 2000.
Boy. Yeah.
So she's been here a while, seen a lot, seen the renovation of the library, been through a lot of programs, getting us on the Minuteman system, which is a huge accomplishment because that just opened up so many doors, literally and figuratively, for Ashland residents to, borrow books and materials from other libraries across the region. And Minuteman's a pretty big region. But Lois has made the decision that she's going to retire at the end of the month. And we're here to, again, celebrate that milestone. And, a lot of people, well, I don't know. I think quite a few people don't know this about Lois, but she's actually an author. And I am fortunate enough to have one of her books, Azizi's Journey. I tell you, she's very, very creative, very, very thoughtful, and this is a prized possession of mine.
Fair enough.
So, because I think you autographed it too. So, when are you planning on writing more in the?
Probably.
Oh,
Okay.
that's great.
I can't imagine not wanting to at some point.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I don't know if the board wants to say things.
Yeah, I think,
and invite other
I'm sure
up and then
people,
have Lois.
yeah. I'll say Lois survived all four of my children being involved in Ashland, the children's stuff, and those were great years. I remember very well. So, thank you for all your years of service doing that, and the continued activities that, the library is so vibrant and so much going on, and you've been such a part of that over the years. So thank you for that. And why don't we just go in order here?
Sure. I would like to congratulate you. I too have, met her first when my girls were a little bit younger and have watched. And I think your involvement with how the children's room evolved from when it was in the old library, and then with the addition and the thought that you put into and help with creating such a wonderful children's room in the new library. We hear so many great stories about what happens down there, and we know that it is all due to your guidance and work, as well as the board of the library trustees, but someone has to have that vision, and I think you've been part of that. So I want to say thank you. You will be missed, and when you write that next book, let us know, because we'll talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois, for all your service to the town of Ashland. My oldest children didn't have the pleasure of having you as their librarian, but my grandchildren do. And I can tell you that one of my grandsons, Coleman, was very apprehensive about the library when he first walked into that huge big building and went downstairs. But you made it very simple for him. You made it very easy for him. And I'll never forget when he came back, he goes, "She's really nice. She's really nice." And for a 6-year-old to say that at the time when he was 6, that meant a lot. So thank you very much for all your service, and I wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. Thank you for your help.
So thank you, Lois. I have a lot of really great memories of lap sit in the library with my now 16-year-old when he was little. And I just want to thank you for providing such a resource to parents, because I think, we've had so much more programming that's kind of been added onto the library, but thinking back when my son was young, lap sit was that was the excitement, the kids, kids would pile into that room. I remember Star Wars Day, where you would show the Star Wars movie and dress up. Yeah, so I remember one of my favorite pictures, I got to dig it out, is you and Nate dressed up as Han Solo at the age of 3, and so it was such a special place, and it was such a great resource for parents to be able to come on a cold or rainy day on a Saturday and just play at the train table and find some books. And it was always just this hop-in place in the library in the children's room, and it was because kids love to come and see you, and so just thank you for your years of service to the town and for all that you did, and we will miss you, and we will think of you every day, every May the 4th, when it's Star Wars Day.
Great.
So, Thank you.
Yes, I too want to thank you for your service to the town, and particularly, to library services in a time when libraries really changed so dramatically from the time my children were young to now, my grandchildren, and how, you made.
Still doing the cards when I came on board.
All right, and you're being able to stay with all that and make it all happen, and certainly I think connecting us to the Minuteman system was so tremendous for our community. I certainly have a variety of memories spent in that library, from my now son-in-law asking our permission to marry our daughter to my grandchildren running there, and leaving a friend of mine's daughter there one afternoon after school, and all of really all that you've done too to connect to the Minda School because of its how closely located it is to the library, and some of the programming that you were able to offer families, particularly on early release days. And I know our kids always felt like big shots when they were able to walk down from Mindas down to the library. It's one of those special things that you remember your whole life. So thank you for your service.
All right. Well, thank you, Claudia. So we're going to have a proclamation and a presentation, but I wanted to, is there anyone who cares to come up to the lectern and speak about Lois before we get into that? Anybody in the audience? And Lois can use that time to think about her speech, that kind of thing. Any takers? All right, we'll present. So I think we'll go up here to present it, right? So, Lois, if you want to come up to the lectern. This is a bit long. We tend to, there's a long record here. So, whereas Select Board Proclamation of Recognition, whereas Lois McAuliffe has been a valued and dedicated employee of the town of Ashland for more than 2 years, is that? Oh, 23 years, sorry. Serving as the Director of Children's Services and as Acting Library Director. And Lois started in the library before the much-needed renovations were completed in 2006. Lois was instrumental with moving the library to the very tiny temporary location on Chestnut Street. Wow, yes. The space was definitely not ideal, but everyone made the best of the challenging situation. And whereas Lois played an important role providing input and guidance in creating the gorgeous 22,800 square foot library we have today, Lois focused on the new children's space, making sure it was welcoming and bright. And whereas Lois focused on expanding programming and even offered virtual programming during COVID, Lois introduced many new programs, including Lap Sit, Read to a Dog, STEAM Thursdays, Friday Crafts, and Mom's Group Little Crafters, to name a few. And whereas Lois worked tirelessly to bring Ashland to a place where they could join the Minuteman Library Network, which includes 61 libraries and a world of options, and whereas in addition to all of her accomplishment, Lois has written, illustrated, and published 2 books, one called Hugo's Story about a hippopotamus, the other called Azizi's Journey about a lost aardvark. And whereas Lois has been a constant among the never-ending changes, working for 9 town managers, including Dexter Blois. I don't know, Joe. Dexter Blois, I remember him. Hector Rivera, yes. Dale Morris, Dave Thomas, John Petrin, Mark Purple, James Purcell, Anthony Schiavi, and Michael Herbert. And 3 library directors, Beth Hopper, Paula Bonetti, and Mina Jane. And now, therefore, we, the Select Board, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, January 31st, 2024 as Lois McAuliffe Day. Wow. We urge all residents and fellow employees to make known their appreciation for her devotion. We wish you good health and good fortune. But congratulations, Lois.
Thank you very much.
Very good. And you can take that, and we have some presentations. So step right up.
Step right up.
Any random-
I do not have a speech. Well, I've loved working here. That's partly why I've stayed around so long, is because this is a fabulous community, and the people in the town have been so appreciative of the library, and they welcoming me, but also showing appreciation to all the library staff, and that's made it a joy to be working here. And our library is such a gorgeous building that that's been a joy as well. So thank you all. I will be back to visit, but.
Thank you, Lois.
Thank you.
And I do want to mention that the library trustees are also here, so thank you for coming. Who are, you want to raise your hands? All right, good. No, good. And, all right. Thank you for all your work. It's good to see you here. All right, thanks. All right, so that brings us to our next item on the agenda.
Yeah, let's take a group picture.
Oh, yeah, we should do that. I'm sorry.
It's always a good place.
All right, picture time. So whoever wants to be in this picture, feel free. Yes.
I love that. We're gonna.
Trustees, if you want, Bonnie, you guys want to come up here and stuff?
All the trustees.
Yes. No, I'm good, I'm good. Can you get everybody, Jen?
Great, thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Thanks, Lois. All right.
And there's a celebration next weekend, right, for Lois? 27th.
27th,
Yep, so. it's
Yeah, so
probably
where
not
can
the
people
last
look
one.
at the details for that? Where's it posted? Did we post it on the town website? I think we
think
did.
so.
It's in the morning, like 10 to.
Yeah.
the
There's a
public
public, yeah,
10 to 12. on
this
the-
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday, not this Saturday.
Oh, it's not the
Saturday.
next Saturday, okay, great. Okay,
It's 10 to 2. Public was 10 to 2. 10 to 2 for the public.
okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Well, the next item on the agenda, is, we're very pleased to inaugurate this new process. This is a presentation from the Ashland Council on Aging, a new Community Hero Award. And so I believe we're going to have Steve Mitchell come up here and tell us a little bit about it. And then we'll have some other festivities on that. But go ahead, Steve.
Sure, Fran Blake is going to join me as well, and
Did he know that? I'm not sure.
he does now, so first of all, Happy New Year to everybody.
No, thanks.
Good to see you. So as Rob said, we, in 2023, we started the conversation about creating this Community Hero Award. Originally, it was a Senior Hero Award, but as we discussed it more and more, we realized that Community Hero might be a better name for it. So we worked a number of months, and the purpose of the award is to recognize and acknowledge Ashland seniors who have demonstrated public service and volunteerism in support of the Ashland community, and individuals, groups, and/or organizations who have demonstrated support and advocacy for Ashland seniors, regardless of age or residency. So it's pretty broad. We hope that as this develops, that we'll have a very vibrant group of acknowledgements. So we have a document that we hope to have on the website, the town website, as well as a nomination form as well. So on behalf of the Council on Aging, we could not have two more appropriate and deserving recipients of the inaugural COA Community Hero Award. We're going to do this alphabetically. Izzy Asanko spent a lifetime of service and volunteerism. Izzy served on the Ashland Board of Registrars for 24 years, the Ashland Council on Aging for 17 years, and the Ashland Democratic Committee for 31 years. He was a proud member of the Ashland Lions Club, the Knights of Columbus, and the Friends of the Council on Aging. So, for the folks at home that don't necessarily know who Izzy is, this is a man who spent his life in volunteerism, and it's really a pleasure to see so many of the groups that Izzy was involved with. And as well as, we see firemen here as well. Izzy was his real work was as a fireman, as we know. So if we could have, ask Maureen and any family members to come up.
Come on up, folks, yeah.
So why don't you present that?
This is a little token of our appreciation. Ashland Council on Aging Community Hero Award. Indigo Izzy Esenkola, in recognition of public service and advocacy for Ashland seniors, 2023. Thank you.
Very nice. Yep. And Maureen, oh, very nice. Well, stay up there. We're going to do a proclamation, I think, right? If the
Yes.
time is right.
You
for
want to
that,
do
so-
it?
Why don't we
Okay.
do it right
Yeah,
now?
well, just give me,
Go ahead.
okay?
Why don't you do, yeah, makes sense to do it.
Yeah, why don't you come?
over here?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Okay.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. This is a Select Board proclamation of recognition, whereas on January 17th, 2024, we, the Ashland Select Board in the Ashland,
Rob, can you adjust yourself?
Yeah,
so
maybe
that
I'll
the
just-
camera can pick you up rather than, there you go,
yeah,
right? like
is that good? Thank
Yeah.
you. On January 17th, 2024, we, the Ashland Select Board and the Ashland Council on Aging are honored to present the first Community Hero Award, and whereas Egidio Izzy Asenko is being recognized for his public service and advocacy for Ashland seniors, and whereas the Council on Aging Community Hero Award was created to recognize and acknowledge Ashland seniors who have demonstrated public service and volunteerism in support of the Ashland community. Recipients can be individuals, groups, and organizations who have demonstrated support and advocacy for Ashland seniors, regardless of age or residency. And whereas Izzy was a longtime Ashland resident known for his community service and leadership, and whereas Izzy served on the Ashland Board of Registrars for 24 years, the Ashland Council on Aging for 17 years, and the Ashland Democratic Town Committee for 31 years, and whereas Izzy served as a member of the Ashland Lions Club, the Knights of Columbus, and the Friends of the Council on Aging, and whereas Izzy also served most recently on the Town Manager's Police Chief Selection Committee, and therefore we, the Select Board and the Council on Aging, do hereby proclaim Thursday, January 18th, 2024 as Izzy Asenko Day. We urge all residents and employees to make known their appreciation for Izzy's devotion. We know he has inspired others to follow his lead and serve the community. So thank you very much for that. And if you guys, if you care to say anything, or,
I'm a little overwhelmed. I have no
Yeah.
idea about this. Very,
Yeah.
just very grateful for everyone to
Yeah.
acknowledge my dad
yeah,
here.
come right
Yeah,
up and
I
speak.
don't know what else to say, really. I just
that's
want to say
great.
thank you to
Thank you.
everyone.
Yeah.
I know very grateful on behalf of the Asenko family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate Izzy's contribution and friendship over all these years.
It meant a
Great
lot
guy.
to him.
Yeah.
Everyone here meant
Yeah.
a lot to him,
Yep.
truly. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thanks, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Appreciate it so much.
Oh, yeah. Don't anyone leave
Yeah,
until
don't
we
leave.
take a
We're gonna-
picture.
We'll get a picture with everybody after we do
Yeah.
the next one.
So before I start with our next recipient, I just want to acknowledge the folks in the audience from the Council on Aging and from the Friends as well. So, and we have our Director of Elder Services here as well, Candy Wilson. So our next recipient, Joanne Duffy served the town of Ashland for 25 years, including 20 years as the director of the Ashland Community Center. Joanne's office door was always open, and she always had a smile. That included everyone, including former Select Board members. And her door literally was always open, and I have just got fond memories of going into the center and walking into her office, and we would just gossip, and it was good. We had a lot of fun, but. So Joanne is our second recipient. If members of Joanne's family could come up with the kids.
Oh, boy.
Ashland Council on Aging Community Hero Award bestowed upon your grandmother, Joanne Duffy, in recognition for public service and advocacy for Ashland seniors, 2023.
You can hold it? You think you can hold it?
Sure.
Is it heavy?
No, he's got it.
Very nice.
Hold on. Hold on. We've got a proclamation. Yes.
Now the Ashland Select Board and the Council of Aging have a proclamation to make. So, whereas on January 17th, 2024, we, the Ashland Select Board and the Ashland Council on Aging, are honored to present the first Community Hero Award, and whereas Joanne Duffy is being recognized for her public service and advocacy for Ashland seniors, and whereas the Council on Aging Community Hero Award was created to recognize and acknowledge Ashland seniors who have demonstrated public service and volunteerism in support of the Ashland community. Recipients can be the individuals, groups, and organizations who have demonstrated in support and advocacy for Ashland seniors, regardless of age and residency. And whereas Joanne served the town of Ashland for more than 20 years as the Senior Center and Community Programs Director, and whereas Joanne assembled a fabulous team that was passionate about making sure that the Senior Center was inviting, they also focused on having something for everyone to enjoy. And whereas Joanne would greet everyone with a smile, even Steve Mitchell, and was always looking for someone or something to celebrate. And now, therefore, we, the Select Board and the Council on Aging, do hereby proclaim Friday, January 19th, 2024 as Joanne Duffy Day. We urge all residents and employees to make known their appreciation for Joanne's devotion. We know she has inspired others to follow her lead and serve the community. So thank you so much to Joanne. So, there you go.
So we didn't just gossip. What we did was we talked about grandkids a lot. We talked about dogs. Right. So thank you. We have one more award to, not award, but a plaque. So if Candy can come up, please.
Yes.
So what we have here is our Community Hero Award plaque that's going to be hung at the Community Center. We'd like to present from the Council on Aging to the Director of Elder Services.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you. That's our tune.
Great, thank you. So we should, everyone involved, let's have a big picture and.
Steve, Fred, you're part of this. You did the presentation.
It's your fault.
There we go.
Dummy candy. Oh, one more. You're good. Great, thank you. Thank you. John.
Yeah, these are the good ones.
These are the good things.
I did.
Hi, Bonnie. Nice seeing you.
Hopefully you can turn your camera off. You can turn your camera off.
Okay. Sure, you want to take a, we can wait a few minutes, yeah. Sure. The folks here from, does he have a presentation or? Hey, Dylan, do you have something as part of your presentation you want to show to people, or? Because we can talk about how to show it.
Well, this is the thing, this is the map.
So you want to show the map, right?
Yeah.
Can you get a
Yeah, I
focus
can,
on
I
that?
can zoom.
If I, where do you want me to put it, I guess?
Close, I don't know, like anywhere.
Is there any way I could do it so they can see it as well as the camera?
Yeah, if you go to the right side or even like the center of the table, I can set that up so it looks good.
Okay, so just tell me what to do then.
It's facing this way?
Yeah, facing towards the back.
Facing towards the back of the page. Hey, how are you? Don't ask me how to work.
Engineering degree.
Are you doing all the talking?
Helen's probably gonna wanna speak to.
Okay.
This is left over from my daughter's wedding.
You need another hand?
Yeah, let me just put this down.
You probably end up speaking from there. so.
Yeah.
Right there's perfect.
Right here,
Yep,
facing which way?
facing towards me.
So, well, it's the other, it's gotta go the other way.
Yep.
This is.
We'll see.
You'll be seeing, you have the paper. Can you see it?
Yep, I got a zoom on it.
You guys ready for me yet, or no?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think we're back in session here. We're back in session.
That's good.
Yeah, so go ahead, Jim, when you're
Hi,
ready.
yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Good, I will. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Nielsen of 35 Ramblewood Drive, and I am the chairperson of the Ashland Historical Commission. And I'm here tonight. Thank you for having us. Helen Nicole is also probably going to want to speak
Hi, Ellen.
in a couple of minutes, but I'll just briefly go over why I'm here. I've said to a couple of you in person, and Michael has been in on a couple of our meetings, so he knows all about it. What we've been working on for the past 2 years, probably, since one of the first things we started doing once the commission got reconstituted, I think it was in 2020, was we were hit with a slew of demolition delays. And I was thinking, like, you know, there's nothing really to prevent anybody from taking anything down if they really want to. The demolition delay is for a set period of time and things like that. And I looked around at what other towns did for conservation and preservation of what our mission is, which is the preservation of historic and cultural artifacts, buildings in the town of Ashland. And one of the things we don't have, even though if you come down from either side on Main Street, welcome to Historic District of Ashland, those signs are just signs. We do not have a local historic district. So I then decided to go and do some research. I sat in on a few meetings with the Mass, I forget what they're called, but they're the state group that puts on these. Mass Historical Commission, who puts on these seminars on how to go ahead and create that. So for the past 2 years, we've talked about it back and forth, and we were able to actually hire a professional conservation historical preservationist. She would be here tonight. She's my expert. She's on vacation in Arizona. So it was like bad timing. So if I can't answer a question tonight, I'll definitely get it, and we'll get an answer to you at, as soon as possible. Now you should have a few things. We have a timeline of what's been going on, what the historical district is going to look like. And I sent this along in the original package. You don't have this, but if anybody wants it, this is the state publication for establishing a historic district.
Great.
So if you'd like that, I could send that to you too. It's 64 pages, which is why we didn't want to overwhelm anybody with information up the top. Letters have already gone out to the business owners and property owners.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you a brief description of where it's going to be. As you can see from the map that we had done, the proposed district literally starts at the Ashland Historical Society, the Ocean House, and it continues along Main Street to the mill buildings, which I'll get to in a minute, then down to the corner spot, the building next to the church, down that side of the street, all the way down and around to where Erica's is right now, the restaurant. That includes the library, that includes all those buildings on Front Street right there. Right. And across the street, it goes from the corner spot all the way down to the post office, which includes the town hall, John Stone's, the fire station, and around the corner to the post office, across the street to the old pharmacy, the building next to it, then across the street to the railroad station, and back around. So the thing about a historic district, it has to be contiguous. You can't split it up, and there can't be any gaps in it. Because what the process is you do the research, all of these properties have been surveyed for historical content. Not all of them are historical. Some of them are just place markers. I mean, I wouldn't say Main Street Wine and Liquors is historical. But within the district, if that was ever to go away, someone wanted to rip it down, the district's created, they'll have to go by the guidelines of the proposed bylaw that will be basically to control what's being put there architecturally. There's nothing about use or anything like that. People can do whatever they want with their buildings and properties. What this is strictly is for what you can see from the street. So if there's something behind the building or backyard or something like that that wouldn't be historically, whatever, relevant, it doesn't matter. It's what you can see from the street. I'm trying to think of what other points. I'm going to ask, you can ask me questions, but I'm just trying to cover it first because we went through a lot of this. The reason why we picked the downtown district, a lot of Ashland's significant historical houses are spread out all over town. And there's no way to, I mean, if you had a city, the town council, the city council could vote on it and establish individual districts for different buildings. For example, Somerville does that all the time. You have a question, Wanda?
Yeah, can you clarify what you can see from the street? What is that? When you say what you can see from the street, does that mean what you can see from the street needs to be saved, or?
Yes, yes.
So, because I would think about Main Street Wine and Liquor,
Yeah.
that, I mean, it's not as old as, say, John Stone's, but it's certainly been there since the 40s or 50s.
Right, well, that's included, but there's nothing, I mean, there's nothing, what I'm saying is that's what the guideline is from the state. In other words, if there's, I forget what they said, if there's hedges in the backyard or something like there's stone, if there's some kind of outbuilding, like an addition in the back, that would be fine if it's not visible from the street.
Oh, okay, so they
Okay.
can add something.
They can add something as long,
Okay.
it's
thank
just
you.
what classifies as being is in the district,
Okay.
okay?
So-
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I
You
just
have
want
a
to kind of
question?
follow on to that.
No, that's fine,
So, for instance, like Lunkers, where Lunkers is.
yes.
If somebody were to ever purchase that commercial space and want to renovate it to look better, they couldn't do that?
They could.
They could.
They could.
Okay.
As long as they keep the building's exterior intact. Now, the bylaw will be put together with specific
Okay.
restrictions and stuff like that. We're not going to, they don't recommend like paint color or anything like that. So that'll be still up to the individual. But the bylaw we haven't got to yet. That's down the road. Let me just give you a little brief timeline of how this is going. Our final report back from the Stacy, her name is Stacy Spies from Hopkinton. She's the pro. And her final report's going to be back to us at the beginning of February. That'll have all the stuff put together in a report for the state. Once that's together, I've already sent out letters to the individual owners, alerting them that this is going on. Then there will be, we'll have another meeting, so we'll have to submit this report to the state, to the Mass Historic Council Commission. And once they get it, they typically have to review it. And timelines, I'm told it's a couple of months. We're not sure exactly. And then they'll ask for other material if we're missing things and that sort of thing. Once that comes back from the state, then we'll go to the town council with proposed ordinance to make sure that it is legal when we craft the ordinance. And I'll do that with the help of town council, because we're not just going to make something up out of whole cloth. We're going to base it on something that's already been done in other towns. And I would say also, once we do that, we'll notify the property owners. There'll be a public hearing about it, and there'll be more meetings. We're also planning on meeting with the different boards in town, like the planning board, the sustainability committee, the comprehensive plan committee, et cetera, just to generate interest and see what's going on. We originally had a timeline of this for this spring's meeting. We're not going to meet that because there's just not enough time. We don't know how long the state's going to take with it or anything else. So we're shooting for the fall special town meeting, because this has to be approved by 2/3 of the town meeting. So by the time we get there, we also like to do a little promotion. We've been to 2 different years of farmers markets, where some of you may have seen me there. And we were going to be at Ashland Day. We were going to have a booth, but unfortunately that was, that's what I made, that's what the map was for.
You'll have one next year.
Yes, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
We'll be there at next year.
Yep.
It's next fall. So that's hopefully a way to spread the word to residents. We're talking about other ways to do that too, because we'd like to gain public support for this, obviously. This isn't something that, the reason why we centered it on the downtown district is because that's where the most contiguous buildings are, and a lot of them are public buildings already. For example, the town hall, the library, the fire station. Go ahead, Joe.
Thanks, Jim. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm looking at your map. I don't see 119 Main Street on this map, so.
Which is 119?
119 Main Street, which is Ashland House?
Yes, it should be.
It's labeled as it looks like Ashland Police Department.
It's next to the police department, right?
It's labeled as Ashland Police Department, but it's there.
Okay.
That spot.
Yeah, that might be a
I just
mismatch.
didn't see the number.
No, it is too, because that's contiguous with the whole.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And if whatever happens to the old police building, it doesn't really matter. And because whatever goes up there, if we have the district, there'll be some guidelines of what they can do. I can't build a 3-story condominium complex there, just like a block or anything like that. It will have to have some specific guidelines.
But if it needs to be taken down.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
Because that'll be grandfathered in.
Thank
So
you.
how does
Well, if you
that,
take things down, if it's on the historic, that's not a historic building. That was built in '78, I believe. So that wouldn't even have to go through the process of the demolition delay permit and all that. And it's a town-owned property anyway, so I don't think we'll have any, issue with that at all.
Thank
so
you.
is determining it to be a historic building based on the year built?
Well, right now, we just changed the bylaws 1950, and anything before that. But, basically. But that's why I say some of these, and they're not architecturally significant, like the dry cleaner, what Talby's and Sunnyside is, that kind of counts, because that's mid-century. Whereas you'd see, obviously, the new condo on the corner there, it just has to be in the district, but it's grandfathered in. There's nothing we can do about that. It's just, it has to be there for contiguous reasons.
So like where the old Dave's TV building
That's
is.
definitely
that would be-
historical.
That would be
Yep.
historical, right?
Yeah, each
Okay.
one of these, which I can get to you guys when we get them back, each is going to have its own macros sheet, which gives you the history, the age, what it was used for. Some of those were done already in 2010 in a study
Yep.
by the prior historical commission, and some of those we had to have done to fit into this.
Question,
Yeah,
if you don't mind. So I'm looking at the map. Across the street from the post office, you have the building that has now the dentist.
right.
And the building next to it, is that building part of
No.
the plan for the redevelopment
No.
that goes around to
No,
Homer?
it's not.
No?
That's
Okay.
why it's there, because.
Okay.
And the two buildings, see, that's there, and then we cross the street to the railroad station.
Yes.
Because believe it or not, nothing's on the National Register or anything except the town hall. All
Oh,
those
really?
things.
Not even the train station?
Nope,
Oh.
nope. And even if it was, and there's like 2 dams and stuff like that that are on that. But none of this is protected. Even if it was on the National Register, it doesn't protect it from being ripped down at some point.
okay.
The only thing that prevents that is this, a local historic district.
Right, okay.
Which is why we've been working on this, because this is the only guaranteed way to have some say over what goes in the downtown. Which I think also dovetails with what I've heard from conversations about the Comprehensive Planning Commission, and we've just revitalized the whole downtown with the repairs and the new streets and the lights and all that stuff. So I think this would be, complimentary, at the very least.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So how would that work with the mill building?
This is the thing I don't know what's going on with the mill building, maybe you folks have a better idea than I do, but they're grandfathered in because they've already gone through their demo delay thing, and that's expired, and that's another issue for another day about sunset clauses in the law, because we've had a lot of demo delays that they get it, they don't do anything, and, year goes by, bang, we're off and running kind of thing. That's not this issue for tonight, but they have said in the past that they were going to keep 2 out of the 3 granite buildings. I'm hoping that's still part of the plan. I don't know.
We currently don't, there is no plan.
There is no
They've withdrawn
plan.
their plans as of right now.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. If that didn't, for some reason, if we can't include that, the only thing that would be left out then would be the Ocean House, which is where the Historical Society is, because that's the only outlier that you need to get from them to the granite to the rest of it. Because that corner coming from the Ocean House, that's all relatively new construction, isn't it? Where the condo, where Bagel Table is, and next to that. I don't think any of that qualifies as being in the district. So we'd have to, leave that, which would be kind of ridiculous, because it is like, the Historical Society, but that's why I'm saying, I've been told that would, even if they do go through with their plans, it's not going to matter. They'll be just in there as a grandfather, like the building on the corner.
Yep.
The condo building. That's not historical, but we have to keep it in there because.
128 Main.
Yes.
The one next to the
Yeah.
Federated
Yeah.
Church.
Okay. So,
I'm sorry, Jim.
No.
I'm looking at the map, and I saw, I'm following the blue line, going down Front Street. You mentioned Erica's, but that is not in the blue line area.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is, because this is the library.
It says Ashland Public Library.
This is the library, and then this is Erica's.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
these are the
I
actual,
just,
I don't know if you can pass these around. I didn't include this, we were going to include it. These are the property listings.
Okay.
What they were called historic.
oh, you know what, that'll be a little helpful.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
I was going
Thanks,
to put
Jim.
that in originally, and it was cut for time kind of thing, so.
No, thank you. I'm just looking at the map and the way the map is showing it. Okay, no, that's good. Because I know the Erie Castle means a lot to some people that would remember it.
Yeah.
So if a business was on this list and they wanted to
Opt out?
opt out,
They can't.
they can't.
If it becomes a bylaw of the town,
Okay,
okay? That's why it's,
yeah,
that's why we're notifying them, we want to work with them.
yeah.
And there are all kinds of benefits to being in a historical district. Sustainability is one, because obviously preserving these things is more sustainable than ripping them down and putting new buildings in, And there's also there've been studies showing that economic development goes along with creating these kind of things, because it helps cohere the village center. I don't know, there's names for it. Natick's name there is Elliott, John Elliott's, and we could name it whatever we want. Unionville Village Center, or Ashland Village Center. Like the cemetery behind the Federated Church is included. And that's a whole separate conversation we're going to have, because we're also working on fixing that up. There's a whole different subgroup of the Historical Commission that's working on that. And I'll just say, make this a good time. Helen, do you want to add anything here?
Go ahead, Helen. I think you have to unmute
You're
yourself.
mute.
Yeah, I know.
There you go.
It took me a minute to find the unmute, even though I don't know why. I did write down a few things I wanted to say, and you actually covered a lot of what I had written down. We are currently working towards getting community support, and I believe we really have a good amount of that now, but we're working towards getting more. And I've written letters to all the committees and to a lot of the committees and boards in town, and I'm hoping to be able to have, you know, our group go and speak to them. And then also, I think we're planning, I don't know if you mentioned it, I didn't hear you, 2 public community forums about this, where people can come and find out and ask questions. But the formation of a local historic district, you know, in addition to having signs that say we have one, but we don't really, is really a big benefit to the town. And one of the reasons that it's also a big benefit is one thing we learned while we're trying to look at different ways to fund the cemetery restoration is that if that cemetery, which would be part of the downtown historic district, were to be in a local historic, there's 3 ways to get funding from Mass Historic Commission, and they're matching grants. And you have your property has to be either on the National Register, the State Register, or in a historic district. So if we were actually in one, it would already have qualified this year for some money. We're hoping to get that for next year. So that's a big benefit. But that same benefit would also go to profit-making businesses. So from time to time, if there were a this could not be like an individual resident homeowner. This would be a building in that district that was used for someone to make, it can still be privately owned, but if they want to make profit, if they have a business in that building, they can also get, I believe, state and federal money when they want to do work to upgrade or to, you know, to restore the building, as long as the outside stays in the historic character. There is money available, and some of that is tax credits as well. Some of that isn't necessarily like a grant, but it could be tax credits that they can apply because they are in that historic district. So that's another big plus. And like I said, that we are working with a large community volunteer group right now, and hoping to grow that group by the spring to restore the Ashland Burial Grounds, which is the historic cemetery behind the Federated Church, and we will be coming back to speak to you about that. I know we weren't in time to get on for tonight, but we do want to install in the community itself a sense of the history and a sense of place that you have when you belong in a community, and when you have the history of the community sitting right there, so that you have, you know, what is the downtown historic district or the downtown village area. It's very important for it to remain in character, and this will greatly help towards that end. So I think that's all I had to say, but thank you.
Right,
and if you have any questions, I can.
Yeah,
Great.
and I'll be back as we get further along in the process to like fill you in on what's going on. What we really would like is some kind of letter from the select board saying that they approve, support what we're doing. I don't know if you need to take a vote on that or not, but it's something that we have to include in the package when we send the stuff into the state. We're trying to get one from the planning board too, and all the different committees, because the more town officials to support it, the better it looks. No, we're doing it. I mean, these things can take a long time, but I want to if we're going to bring it to town meeting, I want to see if we can get as much support as we can beforehand, which is why I'm not for rushing it and trying to get it on in the spring. So we want to have the public forums, we want to have the, the open air markets again, and hopefully Ashland Day, because I thought that would have been a great place, because people would have seen it and asked questions, So hopefully the weather cooperates this year, right?
So Jim, I wonder, so how do you decide where to end it? In other words, apparently, because, for example, you said you include 128 Main just so you can keep it contiguous. Yep. Why wouldn't you keep it contiguous and go down Homer Ave and grab the
Well, Homer
Ave's
a problem because of the construction plan that's going in there. I forget what it's called, but there's a jump right there that where they want to put the apartment buildings in. That particular parcel was not historic. So, and then the 2 houses on the end before you get to Alden Street, those were, but they're not on any kind of list yet. And so it was kind of, we could have kept going down Main Street. and put in the houses and stuff on either side of Main Street. Some of them are, some of them aren't. They've been rebuilt. But we wanted to keep it kind of small to begin with. And we did this kind of because of the example of Hopkinton. You can expand it later. We want to get it in place, and people can see that this is a good thing, and then you can add to it later. And there's not as many private property owners in the downtown section, to be honest with you, that we're not trying to seize anybody's property or tell them what to do with it, okay, other than the exterior, for historical purposes only. And that's something I'm very sensitive about. It's important. I mean, I feel bad that we've had a lot of demolition delay permits for people that can't afford to fix up their houses. And there's really no programs in the state to help them. You know, they want to keep it historical, but it needs too much work. You know, we've seen that time and time again. This is something that, like Helen said, if we get this put together, then there might be some money available for grants and things like that for the historic district that can be put to that purpose at some point down the line. I don't know, you know, but it helps to have it in there.
So if there was a bylaw and a business was looking to make changes to their footprint of some sort, they would have to put in an application through the Historic Commission and there would be a hearing? Or
Yes.
are they not, like,
Yes.
because I guess my question is, like, how strict and what the determination process will look like? Because if, for instance, if, like, the mill building is allowed to be a part of this, and the exterior has to be as is, but may not be, as we saw when they went through the planning board, there needed to be a housing component to basically finance the project.
Right.
If you know, whether it's the mill building or another building, and there does need to be some sort of housing component to it.
Right.
You know, I'm just trying to think through what the process would
The
look like.
bylaw itself is going to mainly be concerned with things like signage, like how big the signs can be,
Okay.
that kind of thing. It's not going to be concerned with usage.
Okay.
Like if there's a 40B situation or anything like that, it shouldn't affect this at all.
Okay.
You know, because it's going to be, I think we had this, didn't we have this?
Yeah, in my.
What
I
was
know-
your recollection of that? I didn't think it was going to matter.
So my understanding is if a 40B project would trump.
Would trump this.
Would trump the bylaw.
Oh, interesting.
Would trump the bylaw, but not the external.
Well, the district itself.
Yeah.
And that's just based on my research. I don't know if state.
Yeah, no,
think
I
we'd
don't,
ask
you're
Stacy.
probably right, but the 40B is, but where we're focusing this, I mean, I don't think there's any, maybe at the mill building, I don't know.
Yeah, you never, I mean,
You never know.
I've seen one house 40Bs, you know, happen before, and I'm not saying that should deter a local historic
And if it
district.
happens, it happens. You know,
Actually, it's just more of a good incentive to go ahead and get our 10%, so we don't have to worry about,
Right.
you know, 40B projects, period.
So if I misspoke, I've been doing this for 2 years, but that was always going to trip me up because I kept saying, what about the 40B? I can't remember what they said.
Yeah, I remember bringing that up, yeah.
But Michael has sat in on quite a few meetings with us, so he's been apprised of this as we go along.
Yeah.
Yolanda,
So you're looking to submit something to the state,
this winter,
have them then approve your recommended, that would then come back to the town,
Yep.
and then the town would vote on it.
we
Is
would
that
have
what I'm
hearings.
understanding?
Right, we would have public hearings.
Okay.
There's a timeline. When it comes back from the state, we have 46 days to send out notification to the property owners again in the district.
Okay.
Then from there, there's also 60 days to have public hearings about it.
Okay.
And then then when you get to town meeting, and this is why we're going to promote it well before we get to
Yep,
town meeting,
yep.
we're going to have handouts to give people at the town meeting, both before the town meeting.
Okay.
And at the town meeting, then you have to get a 2/3 majority.
And then, so part of the bylaw is creating the historic district, but also then the guidelines
Yeah.
for buildings in the historic district.
Will be part of the bylaws. But what I didn't mention is going to be a separate
free form here,
commission for this, because it's got to be distinct from the historical commission. So we're going to need to create, it's in the guidelines, which I can send to everybody if you,
Yeah, that'd
if you
be
want
great.
to, if you leave. Because basically what it requires is that you have, optimally, if you could get like a real estate person, an attorney, an architect, somebody who lives in the district, not just people on the commission, you know?
Okay.
So that, but it doesn't have to be, and a lot of times you can't get volunteers to do anything, or you couldn't get enough. But this is going to be a separate historic district, local historic district commission, separate from the historic commission. They will be doing,
Okay.
once they're established. What the,
So
but for now,
you have to establish a historic
once it's established and voted on, then they'll do
commission.
their own hearings
Okay,
in the future, and determining if this fits or that doesn't fit.
so it has to pass at town meeting, and then you create the bylaw?
No, the bylaw is created beforehand.
Okay.
It's got to be vetted by town council.
Okay.
And all this other stuff, and it's got to be,
Okay.
it's got to be legal.
Okay.
So in terms of people that you've contacted, businesses and that, have you had any responses, or?
Not yet, not yet. It ran out relatively recently. So it should have gone out a while ago, but it was my fault because I was getting the addresses for everybody, and I do work. So
Jim, if you can, maybe if we just take an example property, let's just say that dry cleaner
Yeah.
building. So let's just say the owner wants to demo that and build something, and a historic district has already been created.
Mhm.
Would they be able to demo that building?
I believe so, as long as it's rebuilt. I mean, I know in Hopkinton, there was a fire, and down, that their district is pretty small. The fire in the house there, the guy volunteered on his own to rebuild that within district specifications, which is why it's taking so long. You know, the house, you know what house I'm talking about, right next to St. John's there in the back, yeah. And that's an example I have from Hopkinton. It's a what if, but they can't, like, say, if they want to put it down, they can't put like something that's not going to be in the spirit or within the, what's the word I'm looking for? The aesthetic of the historic district.
So they wouldn't be able to add a second story?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Just,
okay.
that's irrelevant, but it's, whereas that's a non-conforming, I don't know when that was built. And if you could put, there was any historic value in that, I'm not sure if that would be voted on. But if something would replace it, but would stay in the character of the historic district, that would be up for the local historic district commission.
I see.
To determine.
Okay. All right, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Phil, if you got other
I just have one
thoughts.
additional question, Mr. Chair. Sorry about that. Using Michael's example, if they wanted to refurbish the building, is it the entire building, or is it the facade that you see when you pull up into it or you drive by?
Yeah.
Because I know, like in Washington DC, I mean, all the facades have to be,
That's exactly right.
okay,
The
so.
facades, they can do whatever they want to the interiors. If you can't see it from the street, it doesn't matter, the back, you know, that whatever, if they want to extend it to the back.
Right,
you
but
know,
what you can see from the roadway.
what you can see from the road.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But does it have to be that cinder block, if they're real, that cinder
No.
block stucco? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it
Or it
has to
could be
be
something else within the district?
within the district, and that could be written into the bylaws.
So it could be brick, like the post office and
Yeah,
the pharmacy,
exactly.
or it could be,
Or something like if it could like match stones, you know, in that kind of, you know, that style,
Well, that's interesting.
you know?
Because I think, like, the idea of preserving the actual historical buildings is important to all of us.
It's the
but
other
non-historical
stuff. Yeah.
Because to be honest, some of these facades are not like what we want in a downtown that we've just spent millions of dollars to renovate. So,
Right.
so that's where my concern is. And also the businesses that are currently there, if it becomes a problematic process for them to make changes to their own businesses, that's,
Well, I can't think of an example off the top of my head how it would be somewhere that they would change their business with the business there now, like
so like
Lunkers.
if Blush Bouquets wants to change to whatever, I'm just making that up.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's considered a mid-century building. How problematic is that for the owner of Blush, who probably wants to add different signage or change the way the
And that's-
parking lot looks, or any, you know, like, I'm just trying to think of like,
And I don't think it's going to be that sticklery as far as,
Okay.
I mean, I can't speak for a future committee that's not even created
Right,
yet.
right, right.
But it's I don't think that the spirit of it is to keep it kind of cohesive. As long as it's not outside of the bylaw, then they should be fine. And I'm sure there'd be, they would have to work with the new commission, and the planning board, obviously.
So I know you said that you wanted a vote from us. What I would suggest, if the board is, if this sounds good to the board, is to wait until you get the report from Stacy Spies so we can review that.
Sure.
Because I think that we need something physical to
That's fine. Before I send anything to the state, I will send you, when I get the report, I'll forward it. And you guys, you can read it over and ask me any questions. It will be a report of what we're sending to the state.
And this is the letter of support you're.
Yeah, I'm
referencing.
looking for a letter of support.
Okay. Does that work? All
Which
right.
is why I wasn't looking for a vote tonight. I was
I would agree with
throwing
that,
it out.
Brandy. I think once we have the report and we can review it, maybe we'll invite you back to it, like maybe the second meeting in February, or the first one in March, as you're getting ready to send it to the state.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can,
Especially
decide.
you're
See,
not
we
going
only
to
meet once a
spring.
month, so these things tend to get,
Yeah.
And
Push back.
you're not going to Springtown meeting, so
No,
that kind
no
of
way.
lets,
No,
that lets a lot of.
Okay.
yeah.
Great. So anything else, is there anyone
Helen
on?
has her
Helen, okay. And is there anybody else online that wants to say anything about the Historic Commission? I see Joel's there, but just raise your hand if you do.
Use the raise your hand feature in Zoom.
Yes. And Helen, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer the questions. I don't even remember who we asked, but someone had asked if any of the groups had contacted us, and I have heard from two groups, actually. One was Joel Arbite, and so that's the Upper Charles
I see
committee,
Joel has
and
his hand
he's
raised
there, yep.
here.
Yeah, and then he does, I think, plan to have us at a future meeting. They haven't had one scheduled yet. And I did hear from Lori Tosti on the school committee, who did want a little bit more information about how this actually kind of would affect the schools and why we would want to come to a school, committee to talk to them. So I'm gonna, I have to write her back for that. But we actually have heard from a couple so far. So I just wanted to answer that because
Great.
Kim didn't know that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Joel, I think you can unmute yourself, I believe, and talk. Did you have a question?
Yeah, a couple of quick questions. One, do I understand that this only applies to the facade of buildings? In other words, let's say the town wanted to widen sidewalks or put up no parking signs or make other changes to the streetscape. Does any of this cover that?
I don't believe so with signs from the town, whereas we already have put in the historic-looking streetlights and that kind of thing. That would all be in the bylaw, and I don't think that, I'd have to do more research on that, but I don't think that that is something that they concern themselves with.
Okay, one other quick question. On things like if you're working or doing a project in a sensitive wetland area, there are times that you can have certain mitigations that occur. In other words, there are sort of workarounds. You have to be sensitive to the law, but there are some accommodations that are made. Is there any flexibility here? Like, let's say that the residents really wanted to take the, I don't know, the old fire station downtown and turn it into a movie theater with a different facade. Is there any vote of the residents that could in some way override the restrictions that might be put in place?
No, I don't think so. Once it's in place, that would be it for the fire station. But again, there is flexibility within individual projects, so I can't say for sure. It's a kind of.
Okay, and one last real quick one, just
Sure.
a comment. I would love to see the select board. You were talking about having like public forums and going out to lots of committees. I think that's just fantastic. I like where you're headed here, but I would love to see the select board wait for feedback from the community before they represent the community. They don't know where the community stands on this yet.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just trying to get a letter of support in general, not that 100%, because I have to send that into the state in order to get the ball rolling here.
It's pretty non-specific, is my understanding.
Yeah.
So unless we're opposed to the concept as a whole, I would think, all right.
Well, and then I would say in response to Joel and anyone else watching, this was on our agenda, so when we go to put it on our agenda again, we could purposely, potentially through the town
Sure.
manager's newsletter, say, this is gonna be discussed and voted on at a select board meeting. If you have thoughts for or against the creation of a historical district, and put the map on there or a link to the map, please come either contact us before the meeting or come to the meeting and let us know.
It's a good idea. And we'll allow a little extra time for public comment.
And, you know, one thing I did want to mention, too, is we're also in conjunction with this, getting together walking tours of this area, of this district. We put together, some of the other members have put together like brochures, like self-guided walking tours, and some we're working on the Q, I always get this wrong, the QC. QR code, sorry.
Very good.
Keep calling it the QC code. My kids correct me. It's a QR code, and so that you can like look at the, and you can just point to the, you know, and on the and see this is the history of Stones, or the history of where Dave's TV was, because that has quite a history, you know.
Interesting.
You know, or the Masons building.
Oh yeah, that's a cool one. I see Mark has his hand up. Mark, do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I do. It's both question and comment put into one. I was at the historic community, I think it was last night, and I asked this question. I wanted to ask this question through the select board and see if there's an answer. With the state historical setup for this, for the districts, there are state amendments involved, yes or no?
State, I'm sorry, what?
State what?
State amendments, state bullet points to get the ball rolling.
State, you mean, that's why we have to submit all this paperwork to the state, because there are guidelines that they go by, and if we're missing something from our package, they're going to ask me to send it in. You know, it has to be in a certain protocol in order for it to get approval from the state. And eventually, what this will do at the end of it is it'll get approved by the Attorney General's office, and then it'll be recorded in the Registry of Deeds as a local historic district. So anybody that buys into it it'll be part of their title. So you know, I don't know if you folks know, I'm a real estate title examiner, and I run into the one in Boston all the time. It's like 80 pages, you know, of different parts of the Back Bay and South End, and you know, you just automatically know it's in the historic district, you know, Beacon Hill.
Great.
You know.
And I did ask this question last night, and I'm going to ask it again here. How can the state coincide with Ashland's bylaw to put together so it can fit in together to have this going? I asked that question last night.
I mean, last week.
Last week.
Yeah. Mark, I think I said that then was that we work with the state. The bylaw is under state direction too, because they're going to be approving that as well as the town council. So there's not going to be anything in the bylaw that would violate state law.
And so the state, and so the state will have an understanding what Ashland's going to be putting on, and can you compare that and work it all as one together?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, I think that's how it'll work, Mark. It will be in line with the state requirements, so that should work.
That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so anything else? I know that you guys you're working on the cemetery cleanup, and so we're going to put that on a future agenda.
That's going to be the future
item.
agenda. We've already had a discussion, a presentation on how to clean the stuff.
Yeah.
And we're getting volunteers together.
Great.
And we have a group that wants to clean up the brush and all that stuff.
So you'll let us know when you want to come in, and we'll, there's going to be specific questions or things we're going to have to decide at that point? Is that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Helen? Yes, there is. Yes.
Oh, Helen's.
Yep.
Yes.
Helen would speak better to this than me.
Go ahead, Helen.
Yes, actually, so the letter that I wrote you, kind of explaining the project and the timeline and the funding so that you would have an idea of everything that is going on with that, and hopefully potentially what will go on with that. But what we were looking for, and I believe probably would require you to all vote on it, was permission, actually, since it's a town property, for permission for us to actually go in and do the work.
Okay.
And I would like to have that sooner than later because we're waiting on an RDA from the Conservation Commission, and we would like to get some of our volunteers in over the winter to remove some small brush and trees and invasive plants, because the wintertime when the growth is sort of stunted or in however it is,
so
sleeping over the
we really
winter
can't-
and it's not
yeah.
all there, is an easier time to do that.
So I don't think we could take formal action, but is that needed for them to do some basic work? Is it maybe the town manager?
Well, Michael Herbert told me that was something that we should do,
Yeah.
was to ask for the select board's opinion. So
Okay.
that's why
So
we
we'll
went
put
ahead
you
with
on a
that.
future
I would say the
agenda.
first
item.
agenda in February.
Yeah,
Will-
that would
will
be
we
wonderful.
will
Thank you.
People be ready by then, the first?
Oh,
meeting?
we would have been ready
They're ready
tonight
today.
if we.
They're ready to go now.
If we could
Well,
have, yeah.
I think we needed to do something, right, Michael?
Yeah, and just, Helen, you can move forward with the RDA application. In fact, like I said, I think it would be helpful for the select board once you get that.
Yeah, I did see that we could move
Okay,
forward with
great.
it, but I think what we also want is permission so that once it's approved and once we go through the 14-day advertising period, the volunteers can come in, sign their waivers, and then go in and do some of that work. We want to get that started.
Okay, we'll plan on having you on
Yeah.
our first agenda in February then.
That would be
That'll
great.
work. Okay.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Great, thanks. All right, Jim, anything else?
That's it for me.
Yeah, thanks
I mean,
for
if
all
you have
your
any
work
other
on this.
questions, and
Yeah.
if you have, you have my email, just send them along. I will leave this here, and I'll send them out to.
Yeah, all right.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate all your work on this.
Thanks.
You guys are really moving, so that's
Well,
great.
It's taken a while to get going.
Yeah,
Once you get the momentum going, it won't stop.
it's wonderful.
Get a lot of people
Absolutely.
That's
Nice.
great. And you got a good membership? That's wonderful.
Yeah, got a good group.
Cool.
working on all cylinders right
All right,
Great.
great.
Sometimes too fast.
Be a nice Eagle Scout project, too.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a cemetery.
Oh, yeah,
nice Eagle
sure.
Scout project, that's,
All right. All right, so moving on to thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank
Moving
you.
on to old new business. First item is discuss the reduction in the Mass Trails grant from 125,000 to 62,500. And this is Representative Lewis's earmark. They worked very hard to benefit the Upper Charles Trail. And as part of the governor's 9C cuts, she basically cut a lot of the municipal grants in half, and that's what happened with this one. So I think we just thought it was a good idea to put it on the agenda, just to note it and discuss it. So Michael, I don't know if you had anything specific you wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, well, I think just in general, Upper Charles Trail, just to kind of update everybody, we've had a couple meetings, I think, since we
Oh, right.
reported to the
Sure.
select board. And, so at the last meeting, like our little working / implementation group came to the realization that the western part of the trail, or we'll call it Phase 2, there's actually an understanding now that parts of that, at least for now, will probably need to be on-road. So that will make things a little bit easier, and it also gives us the opportunity to focus on the eastern part, which is Phase 1. And to that end, we're looking at pursuing a Mass Trails grant to look at acquire a couple of parcels owned by an entity known as Enzo Realty. Joel, you've had some conversations with Derek, who's the owner of those parcels, and that's where the part of the trail goes through. And then also looking at engineering the Dyke Trail section of the property. So we're like really kind of squarely focused on Phase 1 now and making tangible progress on some of that.
It's great, very exciting. I see Joel's here, and Joel, do you care to add anything? Joel, myself, Michael, and Peter, and Tony are on the implementation. Joel, do you have any brief updates or additions to that?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that the town is planning to submit a Mass Trails grant application. It's due 2 weeks from tomorrow. It's a lot of work. I've been writing, and one of the things I did yesterday was send out solicitations for support letters that are a required element that need to be submitted with the application. And the list of people I have emailed, I've gotten a few of them back today. It reads like a who's who in the bicycle infrastructure world. So we're going to have some very strong representation and support. Last quick thing, I've also had great conversations with Pete Sutton, who's the state's MassDOT pedestrian and bicycle advisory commissioner, or whatever his title is, and also with Amanda Lewis, who is the director of the Mass Trails program. And I've just been really encouraged to have Ashland pursue this. It seems like they're bending over backwards to try to work with us. So as long as we have all our ducks lined up here, we will hopefully be in very good shape to get some pretty good funding.
Would it be beneficial, Joel, if you have a formal letter of support from the Board of Selectmen? I'm sorry, for the Select Board?
Absolutely. I have corresponded, I think, to Rob about this, and possibly Michael. The last time the town received funding was for the Trolley Brook Trail in 2020, and the board wrote a letter at that time that I could provide a copy of, as a template. It would probably need to be updated a little bit, but
Okay.
Absolutely, that's very important to show support from the town's governing board.
Okay, then yeah, if you would forward that to Rob, and then Rob, if you
Yeah.
can send it out, and then we could vote on that on our first meeting in February.
Well, would that work?
Is
though?
that timing right good, or is that too late?
That will not work.
So
too late.
can we just,
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we allow Rob to update the letter from the previous, and that we submit a select board letter of support for the Trails Grant.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded to send a letter of support for the Mass Trails Grant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none, so
Great.
motion passes. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Yolanda. All right, Joel, Joel, I just, FYI, I just forwarded an email to you from Karen Edelman Foster of Senator Spilka's office, asking for some more information for the letter of support. So you should be getting that now, actually, with any luck, so.
And then, just a follow-up, Joel, when you say you've reached out to a who's who, are you including people from Holliston and Framingham in the letter of support for our grant to connect?
I've been thinking about Holliston. I have the people I've reached out to. I'll give you a short list. I thought it was more important to talk to to get support from the adjacent towns, so I've reached out to Hopkinton, Framingham. There's some new developments with Framingham I won't go into right now, but they're very positive. And also to Sherborne.
I would recommend Holliston as well. To
Okay,
someone
no problem.
from their trails group. I would recommend
Well,
that
I
as
know
well.
Robert Weidneck, the committee chair, very well.
I would ask him for a letter of support. I think that'd be great.
Great idea.
Okay.
All right, thanks. And Michael, thank you for putting that update on is there anything you wanted to add for this?
Yeah, just one last thing. I thought I'd updated the board about this before, but after conversing with
Sure.
Rob, I did not. But do you recall when we received that letter from DCR that said we
Oh,
were
right, yeah.
awarded
Yeah,
funds?
because we're an economic
Yeah.
justice community.
It was a mistake. So actually, what's going to happen is money's going to Ashland State Park to help kind of refurbish some of those trails. So
Would that include the new trail as part of the,
no, I think it's
Well-
already the existing.
Well,
so it's not going to
interesting
improve the
question.
trail that's over the dam to make it part of
I
the
think
Upper
it could.
Charles?
I mean, I'm not sure what, to your point, I was been thinking about this. They're getting some grant funds to do trails improvement in Ashland State Park. So they probably have some flexibility as to how they can use it.
Right.
I mean, we could certainly
If
ask.
we have any say or any discussion, and I know the gentleman, I forget his name, from DCR. Kevin, from the Ashland State Park, he has always been very supportive of our trail. So if we can get a meeting with him to say, okay, as you're improving the trails in Ashland State Park,
Yeah.
can you include doing the work that would then be part of our section of the Upper Charles Trail
yeah.
in the Ashland State
Or
Park?
at least have some input, maybe not just the Upper Charles Trail, but other trails, like,
Trails,
well, how
yeah.
are they gonna use this money? So, maybe it's, I was thinking of getting in touch with him, or, maybe we could get a plan from them that we could look at and maybe do some feedback, whether
Yeah.
it's the Upper Charles Trail, or even, how are they choosing
I
to
don't
use this
know,
money,
yeah.
Set those trails. or some of them are in really bad shape,
Yep.
so,
Yeah.
anyway. But is that something that seems realistic to follow up with him? I mean, I'd be happy to try to do it, or we could
Yeah,
say,
I'd
you know,
be
say
happy
how
to,
we.
I'd be
yeah.
happy to do that as well.
Yeah, so
Okay.
let's put that on our list of things to try to follow up, because it's a great thought that, you know, they're getting this money, and how are they using it in our town? So maybe we
And-
could talk to them about
And like I
that.
said, Kevin has always been very vocally supportive
Yeah.
of us creating the Upper Charles Trail and including the Ashland State Park as part of that trail.
Yeah. Well, good discussion,
Michael,
good,
can you clarify, the money that you were talking about that seems to be channeled toward DCR, is
Yeah.
that the money that we had previously talked about that would have been available for the engineering of our trail?
no,
No.
no. This kind of came out of the blue, Joel, where there was a press release that Michael was sent saying that there's mass trail funds allocated to different communities in the state for, that were, what was it, environmental justice.
Environmental justice communities.
And Ashland was one of them, and in following up, we found out it was kind of an allocation of funds to the state park in Ashland.
Yeah, not the town of Ashland.
Yeah.
But it is good to know that they now have these resources, and the question would be, how are they gonna use them?
Yep.
All right, well, thank you,
Great.
everybody. So let's move on, I think, to the next one, and thanks for bringing that up, Michael.
Okay.
Next one is discuss and vote on delegating the authority to the town clerk with consolidation from the police chief regarding police details. This was, I think this was a request to us to approve that, the police would provide constables or other security. Does anyone have the motion, Mike? Do we need a motion, or, I just lost it?
Motion.
There was a letter in the backup.
Yeah, I move that we, the board, authorize the town clerk in coordination with the police chief or her designee, the assignment of police officers' constable details as they deem necessary for all elections in 2024 in accordance with the state law.
I'll
Thank you.
second that.
The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. I presume there's no discussion. Sorry, I kind of went
Nope,
through
that's
that one.
okay.
Okay. All right, the next one is the vote on the home rule petition approved at the special town meeting, requested additional liquor licenses. And we do have, I have an act here. Is this, what do we have to do with this, Michael? I'm getting, because I know we've approved this at various times. Is this the actual petition now that we're going to approve?
That's the actual petition that you would approve. After, if and when you do approve that, then we send it off to Representative Lewis.
And so this is something that we're going to sign tonight.
So what we're asking, because Susan gave us something as well, Article
Yes.
6, home rule petition to increase the number of on-premises liquor licenses. So are we making the motion here, this motion that's on here? Because I thought we've
This
done that
is-
already.
Yeah, this is just like some language.
This is the warrant article, or
Oh, okay.
this is the warrant article,
So we're
right?
just now looking to
Yeah, should I
reauthorize,
I
okay.
guess I should read this home rule petition that we, is that necessary?
I
or-
think, I don't think it's necessary that
Okay.
you read the exact language. I think what you can
Okay.
say is you vote to file a home rule petition to increase the number of alcohol licenses.
I
for
move that
on-premise.
we approve the request of a home rule petition to increase our alcohol on-premise licenses by 16,
Okay.
as presented.
I'll second
Motion's
that.
been made in second. Any discussion or other, okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Okay, so the home rule petition has been approved, and so we can now send it to the legislature. Do you need this, do we need to sign this?
I need you to sign that, and then we'll have Cindy certify it, and we can send it off.
All right, I'm going to send it around to everybody to sign. Great, thank you. Okay, this is, I guess, we do need to discuss this a little bit. Ashland Business Association is holding a public forum on February 13th. The plan is to discuss development and economic development. They would like a select board member to participate on the panel, I think, and perhaps we're also, well, anyway, so let's discuss that. Are people aware of this and pretty much know what it's
Yep.
about? And is someone interested in being on the panel? Is there more than one, or?
Well,
Yolanda, how did
I
it turn
had-
out you were gonna?
I had mentioned that I was interested. I haven't had the opportunity to follow up with them to see if they'd like me to moderate like I did last year.
I haven't had a chance to.
Because if I moderate, then I don't need to be on it. And I know Claudia had mentioned she was interested in being on it as well. So, I mean, I don't know how people feel. Part of me is like, until I know if I can moderate, I don't want to remove myself as being on it, so.
Well, I don't think a decision has to be made tonight.
Tonight, okay.
So.
Okay.
I think we could certainly let them know that there's interest, and
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have somebody.
Who's because last year it was Peter Weisberger that was sort of running this. Who's doing it this year?
That's a good question. I mean, actually, the request came through Beth, so.
Okay.
My understanding is just the Ashland Business Association leadership.
Okay, I'll reach out to Beth and go from there. Because you said you haven't had a chance to talk.
And I had done this last year, and it's a really great opportunity because the questions that come in are very business-focused. And I think that it gives us an opportunity to talk about, you know, a lot of the support that we give businesses, but also just sort of like larger picture, what's happening in town.
And you get to see the questions
are good.
beforehand, so that was good.
Yeah.
It's good,
so-
and it's, interesting thing probably, if I'm around, I'll try to maybe, is it gonna be virtual at all? Yeah, so that's
I
nice.
think it was filmed and put out there. I don't think it
Oh, but
was,
not-
I
not
don't think it was
necessarily a
live.
Zoom kind of thing, okay. So it's a good thing
No,
to
I don't believe
come
so.
to just for interest.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you, so we'll deal with that at our next meeting probably, right?
Okay.
Okay, the next one's reminder of the joint school committee meeting on January 24th, 2024, to fill a vacancy on the school committee and review the process. I saw Paul Kendall up there, is he still there? So, Paul, just let us know if you want to talk or say anything about this, if this is what you're here for. So I had sent an email, so we met, we had a discussion, God, it seems so long ago now, but I think it was Michael and Jim and Lori and I talk about this process. I sent an email out to you folks, and I know there's been a lot going on. I think I asked you for questions, so did anyone, okay, Joe has questions, very good, okay. And delivered. So let me just review what I said, and this is my memory of what we more or less decided.
Not a problem.
One thing I do want to repeat, what's the time? It's next week, 6 o'clock, or 6, it's some, yeah. So everybody should just note that, and right now, I may try to come in virtually. Yolanda is not available, so it'll be you three and perhaps me. I've talked to Joe about chairing on behalf of the select board. And here's the process that we had discussed, basically. Lori's going to kind of chair the overall process. We're scheduled 6:30 on Wednesday, January 24th, at the school committee meeting. So we'll be guests at their meeting. Lori just sent me an email saying Jim Nielsen has dropped out, just informationally. He's withdrawn his candidacy. So when you people look at it, I guess he's withdrawn. We agreed to a 90-second opening statement from each, 3 of the same questions for each candidate, with limited some time for follow-up questions from members being select board and school committee members. And there'll be some, members will alternate asking the questions. So after the last candidate, there'll be general discussion. At some point, the chair will call for nominations. The first nomination seconded that receives a majority of votes present will be appointed. We talked about these 3 questions and kind of informally decided that 2 would come from school committee and 1 from select board. And I think Lori's envisioning that there'd be a select board question and the select board would take turns asking it, basically, I think. So, and I'm supposed to coordinate with Lori over the next few days, and I don't know is there any other questions besides Joe's? Anybody else have questions in mind? Yeah. Well, thank you for putting this in. Maybe I'll just read. Joe, these are Joe's questions. You all have comprehensive resumes indicating involvement in current multiple activities. How will you find time to dedicate and put forth the effort towards being a school committee member. There is much time, they meet twice a month. Will each of you have the time without sacrificing time towards your other activities? So that's Joe's first question about time. What is the strongest to assist you as a member of the school committee? And what makes you the best qualified candidate from the list of current, candidates to fill this vacancy, which is, I'm pretty sure, very similar to one Lori's putting together. But, thank you for that. So, I guess, one thing I'm a little, Yolanda, what's your schedule like over the next few days? Or are you because I'm thinking of asking to hand this off, hand off to you to decide with Lori about the questions.
Well, I'm
What's
at
your
MMA
thinking?
on Friday and Saturday.
Oh, that's right. This
So-
weekend is that.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then I have another.
So I will-
have some
today's
stuff- I have
Wednesday.
like a full afternoon on Sunday.
All right, so I'll get in touch with Lori and we'll try to iron out whatever we can, and maybe
Unless
if
there's someone else in the
Can I-
committee who.
Well, that's
can do
true,
that.
yes, sure.
If you're gonna have me represent the board, have Lori get ahold of me, instead of cutting the middleman,
Right.
come to me directly.
What do people think of that? I'll delegate this to Joe on the question decision. Everybody
Sure.
good with that?
Yeah.
So, Paul, I don't know if you're listening to us or if Lori's
Send them along to you.
listening to this. I'll send an email and include you.
Okay.
And say, so Joe has given us some questions. I'm going to kind of delegate it to Joe to speak with Lori and finalize the 3 questions. Okay? Does that work, Paul?
Yeah, and speaking with Lori, I think based on the number of people and what we get from there might be some fluctuation. I might throw in another question or something like that
Do you need this back?
Based on the numbers. I mean, right now we got 10 people fill out forms. She just sent out an email today. 2 of the people have withdrawn from candidacy. I'm not going to mention their names. I just don't want to throw that out there to them.
Sure. Ooh, I just did one of them, Paul, sorry.
But we'll definitely let you know. If you want, what I've done for our committee, and I can share it with you, I took all the talent bank forms and I put them in a Google Sheet on a template. So that way, what I can do is I can share the template with you. You all won't be able to modify the template, and I won't use the template. But what you can do is you can create your own copy and then take notes and have all the things right there in kind of a more easily usable fashion. You can take notes right on the Google Sheet and things like that to keep track. Because as I said, now we're down to 8, but we had 10 submissions, so it's a lot to look at. So
Yeah, it certainly is.
That actually is a good suggestion, Paul. I was going to ask if somebody could put together like a final list with all the talent bank forms, because
Yeah, right.
we've seen them kind of come in here and there, and there's a lot of them, which I guess is really great for the school committee, because there's a lot of really interested people
Yeah.
looking to serve
yeah,
school committee.
it's great. It's great and going to be very, very, very difficult to.
Yes.
So, Paul, how are you distributing this list or?
So what I did to our for our committee so far is all I did is I took all the information from the relevant information. I took out the contact information. I don't think it was relevant for this, but I took that and I put it into a Google Sheet. So each tab in the Google Sheet is one of the candidates. It has all the information, and then it has places for keeping track of your notes on each of the questions and their responses and a general notes taking place. So that way, so what I did, I created a Google Sheet. I shared it read only to my committee, which doesn't allow them to modify it, but what they can do is they can create a copy in Google that you can then take your private notes on. So there's no open
Should we-
law or
So if-
any copyright from that.
If you could share that with our committee, Paul,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Again,
I'll-
same, read only, and then people can
Yeah.
print it out or do it what they want.
That's great.
Yeah, I'll do the same share, and then I'll just forward you the same email that I sent our committee.
Great.
That good with everybody?
Yeah.
Sounds great. All right, thanks,
good.
Paul. All right, anything further on this one?
I would just say, again, I apologize that I won't be able to be there, but one of the things at the end, and I'm sure some of you will think of this and do this, is to encourage whoever is not appointed to consider running because it's going to be an open seat, even though someone's going to be appointed to it from February till May. It's always good to have choices, and even though you don't get appointed, doesn't mean you might not be able to get the votes to be put onto the school committee at the election.
That's right. And it's a one-year term, I believe, right?
Yes, it'll be 1 year remaining.
It's
Yeah.
a one-year term, and then there's 2 school committee seats up for reelection as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well, and one of the points I made at our meeting, I want to make sure everyone is aware, because of the cycle that this particular seat's on, it will be 2 back-to-back elections. So this appointment's to the next election, but then that
Yeah,
seat,
then
which is
1
only
year.
1 more year left
Right.
on that cycle.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
not that that should be a big deal, but I know it matters for people that.
No.
Right, if they have,
It's a-
it means
it's a
they're gonna,
nuisance.
if they want to run and they get appointed, they'll have to run, and they win the election, they'd have to run again next year.
Great.
Yeah.
Nothing.
The other component that, because as we got more and more, just Lori and I had talked about this, just if we are talking to 8 people and we're going through a lot, and we were kicking around the idea, and she was going to reach out to you, Rob, and Yolanda, about is there a potential appetite for, if we're a long time into it, we have some really great candidates, right? So it's going to be a very robust and difficult decision, that we get to a point where, do we want to have maybe a virtual meeting for a vote? If we're struggling, if we're 2 hours into it and we're struggling to narrow it down, maybe there's a possibility of having a second meeting just to reconvene on the topic.
Well, let's get a sense of the board now.
I would say
I have a feeling, Paul, like I know that you have 8 candidates, but I think my guess is when you start talking to folks, there will be people that
Will
are,
rise to the
that,
top.
yeah, and it'll be less top candidates than you would. I also, it just occurred to me, because we were talking about the election in May, I would say that one of the questions that we absolutely need to ask is ensure that they're planning to run in May, because there really is no time to try this out before they'd have to pull papers and run. So if they're not serious about running in May, then I wouldn't even consider them for a seat.
That's a
for
question that I
appointment.
always
Interesting.
consider
Yeah.
ask. It's like, if someone's getting appointed, are they considering
So,
running? 'Cause
I would
as you
say,
said,
yeah.
papers are going to be available.
They'll only have a couple of
January
meetings. They'll only have a couple of meetings before they'll need to submit papers. Papers are going to be available at the end of the month, but they're due in March, so.
Yep.
So one thing I would suggest, if the majority really feels that's an important question, then, when you talk to Lori, that would be our or maybe she
That might
already
be an
has it.
additional, that might be like a 4th question, though, right? Those aren't real content, yeah. There's
Well,
no
oh,
discussion
you mean
needed.
in not one of the
There's no
3.
right, if to find out how people are thinking, you'd have your 3 main things. But to Brandy's point, whether you're appointed or not, are you considering running and pulling papers for
I'll
the
leave
seat?
that to you guys for
So,
doing
yeah.
that. And maybe it's a screening question.
The possibility of something like that too is perhaps when we have them do their introduction, ask them to, that's a brief yes/no kind of thing. So
Yeah,
that could be
have
part
that
of
as
their-
part of their introduction.
Yeah, that's a great, then it doesn't get into the 3 questions,
Yep.
so that's good.
Okay.
That's good. Thanks for coming, Paul, because this is like a good way of working this stuff out. Anything else on this one? Good.
Nope.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
All right,
Paul.
next one is discuss the senior tax work-off program. So, go ahead, Jen.
I think about a month back, I had, Candy and I had presented just sort of the updated program rules for the senior tax work-off program. So obviously, just a reminder, at the last town meeting, we had voted to increase the number of hours and the hourly rate, and sort of expand the program a little bit. So, this program, seniors who are 60 or older, or a veteran, because we also have a veterans work-off program, and that has been a Ashland resident for 5 years, can reach out to Candy Wilson at the senior center and apply basically to do a part-time position. Many of those positions that we have, they're usually at town hall, at the senior center, at the food pantry, and at the library we're looking at. So we have at max 10 positions And so this basically, what's in the packet, just outlines the guidelines of the program and then some of the minimum requirements, that sort of physical requirements that we need, and some of the information that we collect each year. And so seniors are able to work up to 100 hours. It basically gives them a tax relief of $1,500 at the end of the year. And we're trying to get this program. We already have some interested seniors who have done it previously, because this is not a new program. It's just we changed it a bit. And it takes a long time to actually work 100 hours throughout the year.
Yeah.
So I was just looking for, sort of, we talked about it more broadly in concept last time, and just looking for sort of the formal approval on we didn't have the actual write-up complete for the last time.
Great, thank you, Jen. So that's an update on the program, and so we're moving ahead with it. Great, thanks.
You don't need us to vote on this information, or do you, to approve this?
I think it doesn't hurt to just have a vote
Okay.
that accepts the
Oh,
new,
okay.
New stuff.
the new
Okay.
guidelines.
Okay.
All right, so is
Questions,
there
or-
are there questions or anything else on this? We've gone through this a bit, so.
It's pretty straightforward.
Make a motion?
Sure, I move that we approve the updated property tax work-off program as presented.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 And
Opposed?
thank you
Yeah.
to Candy
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Ken.
And thanks, Jen.
and Jen
Passes.
for
and,
creating
Thanks
this.
for putting this together.
Looks good.
All right, so now just some reminders. Complete and return the town census and dog license registrations that are now available. And I did drop off my town census today.
Maybe it would be worth just commenting quickly about when people fill out the town census, that it translates to dollars for the community.
Does it? No, that's interesting.
So, yeah, so a lot of our formula-based allocations
yes.
are dependent upon the census, so that's why it's.
The town
so
census.
The town census, a lot more so with the decennial census, but the town census as well
Oh, that's
helps.
interesting. Good reminder.
With our formulas.
She must have run into that in the schools. Is that it?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I'm remembering that now, yeah.
And then, Michael, maybe, I'm sure you'll probably include something like that in your newsletter this
I
week.
can.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
say maybe a couple lines that, please take a minute, and that this is, that it's helpful to us
Yeah,
financially.
was that an issue that some people weren't on the census and that affected, they were like in school and not on the census? Is that?
No, but.
No, I sometimes, the thing that mostly in the schools that we struggle with more are people of certain income level that, really definitely brings dollars to the district. In terms of census, we go by how many kids are in their seats
Yeah.
on October 1.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'm not sure whether or not if they're not on the town's
How that works.
list.
Also, grants for school lunch programs and breakfast programs that are available.
Okay. Next reminder is, we have town elections coming up in May. I believe it's May 1st. Nomination papers will be available in the town's clerk office on January 30th. And if you go to the town clerk's site in the town website, there's a whole list of what offices are available and open. Another reminder, hazardous waste collection is the first Saturday of the month at the DPW. Also, mattress and box springs drop off, DPW, every Friday from 6:30 to 2:30 and the first Saturday of each month. So every Friday, that's pretty convenient.
That's very good.
And then another reminder, the Valentine Public Forum, which we've been putting together, and Michael's been putting together, but we've been pushing it, is at Town Hall on Monday, January 29th at 6:30. Did we want to say anything about that, or?
Well, we had a request for some information to be either put up on the
Oh, right.
website or made available. Or have we done that, or?
No, I don't
Can
think
we-
we have. I'll have to look for that.
Okay, because I know they're looking for the CR for the Valentine property, any potential, you have a plan that you want to present at that forum, so
Yeah,
if
like
that
a
could be made
proposal.
available to the public.
You can do that. The CR is
Before
not
you-
back from the state, so.
Oh, it's still not?
It is still at the state.
Okay, so we can present it, but as a draft.
A draft.
Just, yeah, we could put a watermark on it, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just, I mean, and,
we
you know,
get-
hopefully the state will not.
Yeah,
Too
can we
many
give an
changes.
update? I know that there was some work happening, like with, you know, potential holder and
Right.
stuff like that. Can we, I mean, I don't know if that's, we may be waiting for the CR from the state before we kind of talk about that a
Announce
lot,
that, but
yeah.
I think it's important to note that we do have a partner that we
Yeah.
worked with to help draft the CR.
Yeah.
And
And I
so
think we
at
can
this
make
time,
that
they're
public
willing.
at the forum, yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
we
it's-
can get some clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
from-
it's a big deal once we.
Oh, yeah.
To get a
so,
holder
yeah.
and
Yep.
everything.
Will they be attending? Will they have a representative there, or?
You know, I haven't specifically invited them, but it might,
On the
I'm trying to remember
website.
if we put something in the local town pages. No, it'd be too late, no. Yeah, I think those are the.
We should get a PDF or something up on, like a flyer that we could put in onto WACA-TV. And are we asking them to film
Film.
and do a hybrid Zoom?
We're asking them to record at the least.
Okay.
But
So,
it may or may not be hybrid. Do we pick a place for this? Oh, Town
Here.
Hall.
Are we
Right here.
making it hybrid? Are we allowing people to participate via Zoom?
we can, you know, we find hybrid can sometimes be a lot of trouble. So, but it does provide access to.
Well,
folks.
yeah, there are
Yeah,
people, I mean,
really, people love
if
it.
people are interested, and I think this is certainly something a lot of people would like to participate in, and we do have limited seating, so I think if we can make it a hybrid meeting, I think that would be good. And I would say, if we think
I
that
would
the
second
majority of us are gonna be there, maybe even post it as a select board meeting.
Yeah.
I
So
thought I
that-
saw it posted, or maybe it was just
I
as an
think
event.
the
It's just on the
forum is
calendar.
posted as an
Oh, okay.
event.
What
Yeah.
are the seating arrangements? We're not
Yeah.
gonna be up front.
No, 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 we're not gonna be up front, but I think, like at the planning board meeting recently, even though we were all there as individual citizens, I think there was at least 4 of us in attendance of that meeting, and because this forum is basically one of our forums, I
Right,
think it would be
right.
good
That's
for us
making it a little
to
different.
post as a select board meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
just
should,
to be sure.
that'd be a good
And
idea.
the last Valentine Forum we did, which was probably, what, a year and a half ago?
A
at this
while,
point?
yeah.
Something a while?
Yeah.
We did it hybrid, and we had a lot of people join.
Yeah, we had a lot of
So,
people
If we
online.
can, like, if we're doing it here in this room, and we have the
The
capability to do
capability.
it.
I would,
Yeah.
I would like to recommend that we do it
Yeah,
hybrid.
All right.
although it's never perfect.
No, but again, one of the reasons we support hybrid is it allows greater participation from the community, and this is certainly a project that we want community participation and input from.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so go that route. Anything else on the forum?
No, I mean, just other, you know, a couple of you had an opportunity to look at the barn and
yeah.
got to see the work there, and it's pretty cool,
It is pretty cool.
especially seeing the dates on the posts of when they were
I'd love
moved.
to go in
That's
there
pretty
sometime.
cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, very cool.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, next, so that brings us into the consent agenda. Anything, are we ready to approve the consent agenda? Anything you want to discuss, or, see, we have Amanda, I think it's Files, right, the Sustainability Committee?
I
So
move
that's-
that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, none. So consent agenda is passed, and thank you for all, congratulations.
Can I ask
Sure.
a question?
Sure.
With respect to that, because I didn't want to pull it out, because I was just kind of curious whether we have a new full-time patrol officer. Was he a lateral transfer, or was he a new hire that came up through?
he's a lateral. I was going to get into it a little bit more in town manager
Oh, okay.
reports, just
All
kind
right.
of
I'm
like
sorry.
our
Sure, that's good.
program and
Thank
stuff. But yeah, he's a lateral.
Okay, thank you.
And then just note, I noticed that this was, that we are appointing a traffic officer, which I guess is the replacement for the auxiliary police, but with a higher level of training, I guess that.
This is Billy Foster,
Billy.
so.
Retiree about 2
Oh,
years ago.
okay, great. All right, so that brings us over to the town manager report. And Michael, it says discuss 9 C cuts. Do you have a list, or?
Well, I
just wanna go
do.
over it?
So, we got it just not too long ago. And we talked about the 9C cut for the trail. But we did find out that there are other 2 earmarks, one for the Economic Development Incentive Program, and then the other for the reuse of the police and fire station. So both of those were cut in half as well. So they had both been funded at $100,000 each. Now they're funded at $50,000.
So what impact will that have on our plans?
Well, the Economic Development Program's pretty self-explanatory. We won't be able to fund as much assistance as we had hoped through that. Nothing really in stone yet for the police and fire station, so we haven't really finalized anything yet, so it really doesn't impact too much. We still should be able to do like some preliminary work that we need to do. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but you know, it's funny, as I was looking through the list of earmarks that got cut today, I was just looking at what towns got, and like, you know, a lot of towns got a bunch of $50,000 line items that got cut to 25. So we started from a
higher level,
better
that's
place.
great.
So thanks to our delegation.
So we've worked a little bit better than some of the other towns.
Yeah, we fared pretty well.
Better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't complain.
So there's that.
All right, Citizens Academy?
We had our first Citizens Academy last Wednesday, which, first of all, we've got a great group of 16 people that were engaged and asked really, really thoughtful questions. This first session, we covered municipal government in Massachusetts, and also, you know, dug in deeper to Ashland's particular structure. So, you know, we talked about representative town meetings, city forms of government, things like that. Catherine, our HR director, she gave a great overview of our HR department and HR functions and some of the challenges that we have and all municipalities have in terms of attracting and retaining people. She did a great job with that. And then we segued into strategic goals and objectives in the projects that we're doing, and had a good discussion about that. And then we ended with a couple trivia questions. So
cool.
I had 6, but, you know, guess who talked a little bit over time, and I only had time for 2. So
Would it be possible
Was it
to,
Jen?
would it be possible to find out who the residents are that are
Oh,
participating?
yeah, we can get you a
Because I
list.
think that'd be great to know, so if
Yeah.
we see them and we can ask about
yeah.
them, or.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so, big thanks to Catherine and Jen. You know, Catherine for talking about HR and being there, and Jen just kind of setting the whole thing up, so.
And the plan is to meet every 2 weeks?
Roughly, we're gonna take a little bit of a break.
Yeah, we're doing this,
Finance is the next
we're
one.
doing opposite our schedule.
Okay.
So the
Second and fourth, okay.
So what is the total number of weeks that the academy actually?
8.
8?
Yeah,
Okay.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
And it ends right after town meeting, and so the schedule really kind of aligns kind of nicely. We tried to line it up that way. So next week we talk about finance.
So, just planting the seed, might we want to do some kind of recognition at town meeting?
Well, I think we're gonna
Or-
have them at a
We were
select
hoping
board
to have
meeting.
them at a select
Or a
board
select
meeting
board meeting?
after. I'm
That'd
not
be
sure
nice.
the moderator would, you know, I mean, I think we could maybe do it as an overview, and so maybe take a photo, so we could
Yeah.
at least recognize the first class.
I just think that the more visibility it has at different places, the higher possibility that more people will want to do it. I mean, I know you had a pretty good number of
Yeah.
applicants, and you sort of had to pick and choose, but I'm just
Amazing.
thinking better visibility, and then discussion as to could you increase the number the next time, that's
Yeah.
all. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, so finance is next week, and so that's timed to
Yeah.
where you know, they can have that before the televised finance committee hearing,
Budgets and
so.
Yeah, so we'll
it'll be-
ask them if they have time to watch that, just to sort of get
Oh,
a
little primer,
deeper dive,
little
and they'll have at
assignment.
least some baseline. So Brittany will speak at the next one, sort of giving an overview, and then also Cindy Sakata
nice.
Great.
and Rich Ball,
Rich.
and then I'll give a quick overview on capital.
Rich doing the assessor stuff. Of
Yes.
course, That's,
So we're doing
that's
the-
really,
Cool.
yeah. That's always,
Nice.
that's always an interesting
Yeah.
exercise.
But it's
Yeah.
good.
All right.
Like I said, it's a really engaged group, too.
Nice.
Um, Let's see, and the last item that I have is regarding the police department and lateral transfers. So we did get out of civil service, which was a big win for our police department and our community. But we have had some departures for, I'm just going to classify it as personal reasons. So we're down on staffing again, which is having a tough effect or tough impact on our existing officers. So we met with the union, talked with them, and batted around a couple of ideas. And one of the things we came up with is a signing bonus for lateral transfers. And then also the chief has worked really hard with some of the colleges that graduate, people who have who are then academy trained and post certified. So both of those we're seeing fruitful results. So as you noted, we just appointed one lateral police officer who came in through the signing bonus program. We have about 3 or 4 additional ones in our Get Badge system, which is the system that we're utilizing now that we moved out of civil service.
Get badge, it's like
Get badged, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like get a badge, which is like stealing other police officers.
Well, I mean, that poaching is what it is.
There's the word, yeah.
So, but hopefully we'll get our staffing level back, back to where our officers are not having to pull doubles all the time and just kind of working their tails off, because it really does have an impact on them and their families.
So most of these will be already academy trained?
Yep, so the signing bonus is just for laterals.
Okay.
So, and then the colleges, we're looking at the ones, or the chief's looking at the ones that have the programs. Yeah, Merrimack and Fitchburg.
They're offering a program where you graduate CJ.
As a trained.
As a trained, but they also put you through the academy.
Yeah, and I think, I don't want to be premature or presumptive, I should say, but, Chief Rossi's already identified one potential candidate for Merrimack that could be available, I think graduates in the spring. And after a 12-week field training program, we'll be able to, be on the street. So,
And in terms of the laterals, they have to match up with the position that we have available, or?
yeah, so they're coming over as patrol officers.
Patrol officers.
Yeah, so that's really where we're depleted. Yeah, but no, the police department. There's, they're not skipping a beat, as you know. They can be victims of their own success, and so sometimes you don't realize just how short-staffed they can be, just because they keep going and going and going. But they really are at a bad level. So hopefully this program will continue to bear fruit. So,
All right, thank you.
that's what I have.
All right, thank you, Michael. So that brings us to board reports. So we'll just go, I think if it's okay in the usual order, we'll start with Claudia, and go ahead.
Yeah, I think I've been inside all month. I was trying to think of where I'd been, but, yeah, so I don't really think I have much to say, except that, I appreciate the work the DPW has done this week, and
Right.
getting the roads ready, and after a really tough storm, so.
Yeah, got our first winter storm out of the way. All right, thank you. Brandy?
So just a couple of things. One, our comprehensive plan steering committee meets tomorrow at the Ashland Public Library at 7 o'clock. I would like to request that we put a formal line item on the agenda next meeting to give a real update, because I think that
Okay.
this meeting will kind of have some
Sounds good. Just remember
good
when
feedback
we do
from
that.
our consultant, plus I
Yep.
think we'll have some interesting tools that we're going to be sharing out. Also, just to let this board know, we are talking about the project management team, the much-aligned project management team, tomorrow as well. So
good.
that will be a good discussion, I am sure. So, so that's all on comprehensive plan. And then I just wanted to, Joe and I were just chatting about it. We have a new Eagle Scout in Ashland, Tommy King. And so he's gone through his his Eagle Board of Review, and they're going to do a court of honor. I've been talking to his mom. He's a classmate of my son, so I've known him for years, and he's overcome a lot of challenges, and he's a really good kid. So, and a new Eagle. So more to come on that.
When is the?
She doesn't have a date yet.
Okay.
So, but she's going to keep me posted. And I said, because I had the same thought that you did, and just to make sure that because I said to her, I said, if we'd love to be able to be a part of it to celebrate Tommy, or at least bring him here for a celebration if they weren't doing a.
Is there a person now coordinating them? Because I know Merle used to do that.
That's
And
something that I'll have to get a hold of the Scoutmaster to see if there's somebody
Yeah.
that he would recommend to follow up with us on those types of programs.
Because I think there might be I don't know where in the process, but I assume there's going to be at least one more from Nate's class. Not Nate's. Yeah, Nate's not a scout, but
Right.
but part of the
age group.
Yeah, Merle being gone is a real loss for them. She was
Yeah.
such a coordinator of all that.
Right.
It's
Real life.
And
a sad loss.
I was at the reservoir last weekend, and a lot of those bridges that are there were Eagle Scout, and you can actually see some nameplates are on them. So it reminds, these guys do a lot of work, a lot of projects.
Town Forest Group too.
Yeah, well, even more in the town forest, but also the
Yeah.
Tommy's project was Stone Park.
How was it?
A really, really good job.
What did he do at Stone Park?
So he cleaned out all the trails thanks. Cleaned out all the trails and built a couple new benches.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, he and
Have to go
his
check him
team.
out.
So he's a good kid.
Watch out for dangling pine tree branches, that's all.
Oh, gosh.
Mother of
Or
mercy.
fallen pine tree
Oh.
branches?
My goodness.
Yep.
All right. Okay, Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have much other than the fact that I did report at our last meeting that the Traffic Study Safety Committee was going to be meeting on the 30th, but because of scheduling issues, that is going to be on the 23rd, which is next Tuesday. So if anybody needs to, it's posted and the agenda's there, would like to come, it'll be at the substation at Market Basket, starting at 10 o'clock till 11:30. And we have a lot to discuss. A lot of things need to get done. So, and again, we appreciate all the effort. Again, remind everybody there is a parking ban, overnight parking ban from 2 to 6, especially when the weather's kind of crappy out. You never know when you're going to get a squall. So make sure you keep the roads clear of vehicles so that the plows can do what they need to do. And watch for children walking to school, especially now that the roads are a little more narrow with the snow banks on the sides of the road. And I agree with your comment to us the other day about 135 is a little bit narrower, and but the cars aren't going any slower. So we need to make people be aware of that and make sure we get things done. But I know we're in the process of doing potential work on it.
He's got the crosswalk posts.
Oh, that's great.
Good.
You just can't see him now because the.
Right. So, but that's all I have, and thank you.
All right, thanks. Go ahead.
So just a reminder, I've only gotten a potential list of what committee you want to see first from 2 members. I
Oh,
still
right.
need it from 2 other members. That's all I'll say about that. I'd like to be able to invite somebody to our first meeting in February, so
Yes.
I might do that.
I
might do that.
actually support that suggestion, and I'm one of the,
What a great idea.
yeah.
I just may do that. We'll see.
Yes, okay.
The
I'll
other
try to
thing
get you
is I am going
Oh,
to be.
sorry, reminder, so we're not giving you the whole list, we're giving you.
I want your top 3 that you would
Okay,
like to
right.
to have come
Top
to one
3.
of our meetings, and
What was Claudia's top 3s? I'm
I'm
just
not
curious.
telling you that.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to be at MMA on Friday and Saturday. It was interesting, a couple people have said, oh, there's not that many good sessions, but I found a couple that I think could be interesting, so hopefully I'll be able to bring stuff back. Also, I applied for, and I will be officially appointed as the vice chair of WEMO, which is Women Elected Municipal Officers. And then I'm going to be part of the luncheon presentation. We're doing a fireside chat with our chief climate officer here in Massachusetts, so I'm going to get to interview
wow.
her.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. And then next Thursday, the Metro West Regional Collaborative has our online Zoom meeting starting at 8, and we're going to be getting an update from David Lutzenheimer regarding the Trails project. So he'll be on for like 20 minutes talking us through stuff, as well as the collaborative will be talking about projects and the work plan for the next year.
When is that?
Next Thursday from 8 to 9:30 online.
I'll be around there, but okay.
So, and that's all I got.
Great, thank you. I don't have any special announcements or things that, so I guess I will take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Wow.